Kate Mara plays Lana in Black Mirror Beyond the Sea. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby. I want to start things, Kate, by asking you, what surprised you most about entering the world of Black Mirror?
Well, I would say the most surprising thing is how fun the shoot is, um, in contrast to sort of how serious and devastating the actual content can be.
Mm,
Um, like the world that my character is inhabiting and everything she's feeling is quite isolated and lonely, and yet it was such an amazing set to be on. The energy and the location was so beautiful. So it actually was really a really like wonderful experience, even though it's so sad.
yeah. Well, like, is that like, do you reckon partly that is like Charlie Brooker, the creator of the show? He's got a background in comedy, a background in satire, so sort of there can be sort of moments of irony or lightness or levity even in very dark, sad themes.
Definitely. And I mean, I always think that the the feeling on a set, it comes from the very top. And Charlie's such a lovely guy and has such a great sense of humor, like you said. And we were talking last night. We had a panel, and Charlie was saying that most of his ideas start with some sort of a comedic thought. So I love that about him, the dark comedy. I really do feel like um you can find that in every episode of Black Mirror.
Mm. And like, how important for you, because like this so much of this episode from your perspective is with Aaron Paul and the two of you acting together. Like, how did you guys find the sort of levity or joy within this story? Or within the experience of shooting this story?
Well, I mean, Aaron's great, and he's such a lovely actor to work with and such a wonderful human. So I think that no matter what you're working on with Aaron, it's going to be a nice experience. But but also our director John Crowley is so fantastic. He he really set the tone, I think, for the set as well. And even though, it was very focused and very planned out, and we had time to rehearse, which is so lovely. That doesn't always happen. Even with all of those things, and we were definitely working hard. Even with all of those things, there was room for lightness and joy. So
Yeah.
that's nice.
Could you think of it, like, was there a nice little moment of lightness on set?
I can't really think of one because the whole thing really was. It was just a lovely. Everyone working on it really felt sort of. I mean, I'm not going to say everyone felt happy, because that would be. I mean, I don't know if everybody was happy, but they certainly was a. You kind of get like a feeling for like an overall energy on set, and for something like this. There were basically three different locations for this shoot, and all of the scenes that I was in with Aaron was all filmed in England, in Whitstable, which was a very specific place. I know Josh's most of Josh's stuff was filmed in Spain, and then also all of the spaceship all of those scenes were filmed in a stage in England. So it really was like three different sets, and I was only in, the one little our home, that version of the world. And yeah, it was really great. It was lovely, And again, I really credit our director John Crowley, so fantastic. I just felt like he always made it feel like, even though we only had a very short time to film everything, there was a sort of freedom that he makes you feel when you're actually exploring these scenes and these themes of the show.
Mm. And I guess like that experience for you probably mirrors Lana a bit, where like she sort of cut off from everything that's going on in outer space and the different parts of the show. She just sees what happens um when sort of Aaron, whether it's Dave or Cliff, sort of wakes up and visits her through the replicas in the world. So what's that like for you approaching, like, as an actor, you've got one part of the story that you're telling, but you're sort of removed or a bit isolated from the other parts of the story?
Yeah, it wasn't it, like you said, I guess it was sort of, maybe it was useful. I just, all I had to do was focus on our little world. I mean, me and Josh didn't have any scenes together, which is so strange because obviously he's such a huge part of my character's world, and such a huge part of the show. We did meet, and we had table reads before, um and we've done a bunch of press together since. So it feels like we worked together, but we never really did. I really just worked with him through Aaron. but but yeah, it was again, it was interesting. It felt like we were making our own little movie in like an 8-day, a quick 8-day shoot. And then when I finished, they went on to the spaceship and filmed all of those scenes. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting experience for that reason, because my scenes were so contained.
Mm. And yeah, so like in this movie, Aaron and Josh play two astronauts that can send consciousness to replicas back on Earth, and it ends up in a situation where they're both sending their consciousness into the replica of Cliff, which your character Lana is married to. Did How did you approach scenes with Aaron when he was playing Cliff? And how did you approach scenes with when he was playing David? Did you approach them differently? Were there slight different ways you think Lana was reacting against them, or was it pretty similar?
Oh no, I mean, I hope it wasn't similar, because um the character my husband in the movie, even though obviously Aaron's there, as his physical being is there, but like his when he's acting as David Cliff, we'll call him, that's what they called him in the script.
Yeah.
um he's relating to me in a totally different way, and he's making more eye contact, he's more thoughtful, he's more present, he's asking me questions, he's connecting more with me, with my character. So it really wasn't that difficult to for it to feel different, and to react differently, because Lana's having a completely different experience with that version of her husband than she is with her actual husband.
Mm.
um so yeah, I found that, I just sort of would react to what was happening in front of me, and luckily they are very different characters, so it wasn't as complicated as maybe it sounds like it would be.
Yeah. Was there anything different about this work than anything you've worked on before?
um Yeah, I mean, everything is always every job is different, in many ways. You know, I would say the experience of working like in this, it's obviously takes place in 1969, so very specific time period, which I think is so helpful in setting a tone, and like being able to just get lost in that world when all of our clothes are so different than what we wear today. And you know, all of the props and like the cars, everything. It just is, it makes our job so much easier, you know, make believe. It's just like it literally is like you're um playing a house. So that aspect of it is definitely unique, and I really love being able to do that when it's a different time period. It really lends to everything, into the, you know, the way you think differently, you move differently, all of those things. So that felt like a treat, you know, being able to see all of those old cars, and you know, the sunglasses are so different. Everything is so different. The music and that aspect of it was definitely unique. And again, I've mentioned him before, but our director was he's such a great director to work with. He comes from the theater world, so he's, you know, really, really, I would say, thoughtful, and like in rehearsals, we really just talked so much about this world and what the characters go through. And it's very helpful for when you get to set, you know, you feel like you're really ready to explore all those things.
Did this did this experience teach you anything about yourself, or that can be as an actor, or it could be broader if you want?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I, I, I love to think that every job, you know, helps us grow in some way as actors. And maybe you don't know it in what way that's happening, and maybe we find out years down the line or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think every character, you know, helps us learn something new about the way human beings are and exist, and how everybody's different and everybody's the same, you know. Um, but I don't think I'd be able to tell you something specific that,
Yeah.
um, you know, that's obvious to me in the moment.
Do you think there's, like, from this story of Black Mirror Beyond the Sea, like, because the show's, like, very sci-fi and deal with technology and space travel and all that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, it is largely like, each of the Black Mirrors is a story about humanity and the choices humans make, and do you think there's, like, a moral or lesson from Beyond the Sea?
Oh, do I don't know what what the moral would be. Don't kill people. Um, no, I mean, to me, well, I think there's so many different themes in this episode, but you know, it's so much about isolation. And Charlie did say he wrote it during isolation, during COVID. Um, so it makes sense that it really, you know, explores that, and how it affects us as humans, and it affects everybody in different ways, um, and how I think coming out of isolation, you know, from my character's point of view, she feels so isolated for so long, and then all of a sudden her husband, who's not actually her husband, starts to relate to her in a way that makes her feel like she's not alone anymore, and that she is seen, and it really opens up her world, and gives her such light and such hope. um and so that's how I was looking at the episode, was how human connection is so incredibly important and vital to our existence and to our survival. um so I think, you know, I think it's a lot of it's about that.
Yeah. And do you have, like, you sort of, sort of said, "Don't kill people," as a lesson from the thing. And, like, the show does have a very dark, dramatic twist, involving your character. We don't get to see it from your character's perspective.
Thank
How
God.
Yes. Like, how is that, how is that as an actor, knowing we're heading towards this climax and setting the foundation for that without, like, being part of the sort of punchline? So you're doing a lot of foundation setting there.
Well, I don't think, I mean, I think the end was for me totally irrelevant to what I'm doing before that, right? Because
Mm.
again, it's something that I know is coming, and so it actually doesn't, doesn't really, it doesn't affect my performance or my choices,
Yeah.
as maybe it would affect, Josh's, or
Yes.
well, mainly Josh's, I would say. But yeah, so I guess it doesn't really affect me, as an actor. I was just surprised. I was so surprised when I read it. I didn't expect it to go there.
Yeah, I was expecting a different dark twist. I
Yeah.
knew it'd be dark.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Kate, was there a particular scene that you think was particularly important or pivotal for you?
I When I read it, I was really moved by the scene, um between Lana and Cliff when they're in the barn, towards the end of the film, and he comes back and he basically accuses her of cheating on him, and he gets very upset about it, and she says, no, but I wish I did. That scene I felt was really moving, and really beautiful, that she was honest, and he actually heard her, sort of for the first time, and really kind of saw what, um the pain that she was experiencing. And there seems to be a little bit of hope at the end of that scene,
Yeah.
um regardless of what ends up happening afterwards. So I always really thought that was a beautiful scene.
Mm. And that was with Cliff. Yeah.
Cliff, exactly.
Yeah. Um, as an actor, Kate, what for you, where do you find joy, and where does joy come for you in acting and the acting process?
I mean, I'm kind of a nerd. I love it all. I really love the preparation aspect of it before we get to set, whether that's on our own, whether it's on my own preparing for it, or if it's with somebody that I bring in to work on, or it's with the director, or if it's with the other actor. And then sometimes there isn't any preparation time, so then I love actually filming. That part of it is so fun for me. But then I also tend to watch most of the stuff that I end up in, even if I think it's going to be terrible, because I always find even that's quite, you can learn a lot from that.
Mm.
But yeah, I just love it. I've loved it forever, since I was a little kid, and I haven't been jaded by it yet, which I just feel really lucky that I love it as much now as I did when I was 9. I'm like, I still am, so grateful that it's my job.
Oh, that's so cool. Is there a secret to still loving it after all these years,
I
or?
think you just either do or you. I really think it's either you either do or you don't. I just got to work with Lawrence Fishburne, who is so awesome to work with, and he said the same thing. We had so many long conversations on set, in between setups, and he's got the greatest stories of all time. And I just asked him one day, because he has such an amazing energy, and he seems so happy to be there. And so I asked him, I said, do you still love acting? Like, how do you feel about it? And he was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I love it so much. And I really relate to that. Like, I really feel that way as well. But I don't think everybody feels that way. So um yeah, it's lucky.
My first time ever in New York, I saw him in a one-man production of Thurgood, and like unreal. He's like, yeah, so good.
Yeah, he's really special.
Did was there a performance for you that was particularly pivotal or important when you were getting started that sort of just stayed with you?
Well, as a kid, I was really into like movie musicals. So um you know the classics like Annie and The Sound of Music. Those were I think the movies that really made me ask questions about, oh, that's something that people do, like, to understand that that's actually, it can be a job, and it can be a hobby, or both. So yeah, I think those were the ones that really gave me the acting bug.
Oh, nice. Will we ever see you in a musical, Kate? Or
Um,
have you done one already? I missed it.
no, oh no, I haven't been in one.
Like,
Love to. No, I used to sing a lot as a child, but yeah, I haven't really had the opportunity. But yeah, I would love to. I would love to do a movie musical.
awesome. And just to finish off, Kate, what do you think's so special about Black Mirror as a series?
I think that you know, every episode of Black Mirror is really like a movie. It's like individual movie, um and they're all so incredibly unique and not like any other Black Mirror episode you've seen. Um and they all, it feels like they all have some sort of a twist or turn that you're just not expecting. And you know, they all move us in one way or another, whether it's to tears or shock or terror or laughter. You know, they all Charlie always finds a way of getting people to react. um it's very impressive, and I'm excited to see what, you know, what he creates next.
Yeah. Well, Kate, thanks so much for talking to us today. We've got the Emmy Awards coming up later in this year, so all the best, Kate, for Black Mirror with the Emmy Awards. And also, people who love the Emmy Awards can go to goldderby.com to follow the races. Kate, thanks so much for your time. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you so much.